Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. A very happy holiday season. The making of this video, it's December 23rd, 2020. Christmas Eve. So, friends, Bruno Groening once said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the most precious thing that you could give another person is faith. I was really struck by that because that's a strong statement. Like, think about it. So as human beings, we're constantly exchanging, right? Giving and receiving. It's just kind of one of the fundamentals of being a human being. We give things to people and we receive things. And Bruno Groening said the most precious thing that you can give is faith. In essence, what Bruno Groening is saying is that faith is the most precious, the most important thing. And I know I've received the gift of faith from Bruno Groening, meaning through his teachings and through his help, I experienced miraculous healings in my body. And then it was easy to believe in a higher power. But also his teachings have then matured that faith. And my faith is far from perfect. I think it's, I like to remind myself very much that I'm definitely a work in progress, meaning I'm not a master of life yet. And like I experienced in my own body proof that there is a higher power. And then Bruno Groening's teachings have helped to really deepen that faith. And it's really, lately, it's really getting really strong because in essence, Bruno Groening said, everything that happens in essence serves the good. He said it's either, when bad things happen, it's either a reparation, he called it, or an opportunity to learn. So that's a profound paradigm shift to think that everything that happens, the hand of God is there, and specifically when bad things happen, right? Because when bad things happen, that's when people are like, oh, there's no God. And I fall into that too. I might not say it quite like that, but sort of unconsciously and emotionally, like, oh my God, it's terrible and this shouldn't be happening. But those statements on the surface, they may sound innocent. Or like, oh, this is terrible. You get a parking ticket and it's like, oh, this is awful. This shouldn't be happening. On the surface, those sound like kind of superficial statements. But actually what they are is declaration that God isn't in control. God isn't in charge. So it's very profound because think about it. Because the hand of God is involved in everything or it isn't. Bruno Groening says it is. If it is, then the hand of God is involved in getting a parking ticket. Again, Bruno points out that bad things are either a less opportunity to learn or a reparation, meaning a kind of a rebalancing for a past wrong. Maybe in a past life, I gave unfair parking tickets or unfair some kind of penalty unfairly. Who knows? Maybe in this life. So let's sit with all this a little bit. That every molecule, every activity, that God is there, and that there is order underlying even the most seemingly crazy disorder. So let's spend a little time, observe our bodies, have the intention to receive the energy of God. Wow! Thanks, Jason. I don't know why I muted it. That's funny. Oh well, I was just saying such brilliant things. Haha. Boy, it's been a technical glitch kind of day. Thanks for letting me know. Well, that was a little dress rehearsal. What do I want to say? Were you able to hear anything? Have I been muted the whole time? I hope not. And if I was unmuted, what's the last thing you heard me say? Okay, good. So, I'm not sure where I muted myself, or something muted me, but it's probably me. So what wants to be said here and now? Okay, good. Thanks. That's really helpful. So faith is, initially for me, faith was believing that there even was a higher power and that it could help me. And then once I had my first healing, that it could help me in other areas of my life. And then as more healings happened, then to really believe that God could and would really restore order into every aspect of my life. And so that's sort of the abstract idea of faith, which I started with, was that the hand of God is always there, even in bad things. And then the flip side of that is that everything will be okay. Everything will be restored to order again. Along with that comes humility. I'm going to read this from the Christmas speech. Bruno said, "Believe too that you stand in need of a great deal of good for your body, and that you will also receive this good." So this is the second time Bruno has said this in the same speech, is this recognition of our need for the good. If I don't recognize the disorder within me, which is a fancy way of saying if I don't recognize the evil that I've taken into this body, then I'm not going to really seek God with the passion that's necessary. And then also, I just think it's a deep mystery that we need to reflect on. Because Bruno said, "Believe too that you stand in need of a great deal of good for your body." It's a very interesting way of saying it. He didn't say, "Oh, recognize that you need it. Oh, think about it." He's like, "Believe it." So my understanding is that Bruno calls us to the recognition that we need God. Not just pray every now and then. Not tune in for 5 minutes once a day. It's a great beginning. But that we really need a lot of good. So let's sit with that. Taking in this good energy. So here's another quote, something that Bruno said about Christ. For me, the Savior is not just anything, but precisely that for which God enabled him here on this earth of his, so that he could show us the path we have to follow, which really does lead us all back to God. Otherwise, we would never find the path. All of you, that is, most human beings have come off the path. So there's all this talk about what a savior is and and Bruno, and some of it can be quite intricate, but Bruno makes it quite simple. A savior is, pardon me, a savior is a being who is able to show us the right path, and without whose help, we probably wouldn't find it on our own. It's a profound thing to reflect on. So Bruno spoke about having a heart wish, and I've heard many people express their own ideas about what that means. From this speech, it seems to me very clearly that Bruno Groening says that our deepest heart wish is to be free of all evil, to experience salvation. And here's something that he said on that. And so, my dear friends, you yourselves are aware, and from all this, you also know that once again, the time has been given you to express the one desire of your heart, which you must certainly have had, to God, and to ask and to pray, and to have faith that God will fulfill your heart's desire for you. So, and he pointed out that Christmas Eve is the night to ask. That it's the night to ask. So I encourage people to really reflect, what is my deepest desire? What is my deepest heart wish? One of my favorite from Indian philosophy, here's a quote that touches on this. You are what your deep driving desire is. I've also heard it translated, you are your deepest driving desire. That there's some desire within us that's so intense. Here's another translation. You are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So friends, let's spend today reflecting on what is our deepest driving desire. What is our one deepest heart wish? And here in this speech, Bruno talks about it a couple of times. He makes little references to it, and I invite people to read this speech and really reflect on that. And he says that tomorrow night, Christmas Eve, is the night to ask for that. So I hope people are able to find some clarity today, and then to really ask for it tomorrow. And as Bruno said, to really believe that it will come to fruition. So let's take a little more time in silence, taking in the good. Beginning that inquiry. What is our deepest driving desire? What is our one heart's wish? And it may be a process. I've been reflecting on this years, so it may just be, what is the deepest heart wish you're able to get in touch with? I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day of deep reflection. In essence, it's like if we could ask God for one thing, what would that be? Maybe that's the simple way to approach this topic. Like, let's see, you get one wish. This isn't a genie we're going to be asking for this. We're going to be asking God. Thank you so much for joining in, everyone. Jason, thank you so much for letting me know I was muted. Technology. And of course, in this case, it was my fault. Have a blessed day. Take care. Much love.